Alright, the Galactic Waifu Police are back with a new form of Seraph, so let's begin. Here's the starter, Aurora Battle Princess Ruby Crimson, which you do not have to run, and into the new Grade 1 Wiki Power, Aurora Battle Princess Kainai Kobat, which has the skill Auto, when placed on Vanguard, costs, reveal a Grade 3 Seraph from your ride deck, search your deck or hand for one Galaxy Eternal Prison Galactonus, and put it to your Ore Zone, and if you search your deck, of course shuffle it, but if it's from hand, you draw a card. Just to let you guys know, the original one only searched from deck, so the fact that you could just cycle out from your hand just in case you accidentally draw is actually pretty nice. And yes, we got a new set order for the prison deck, so depending on which one you prefer, you have to run a specific ride line. But anyway, the second skill, which is a unique one where act rearguard once per turn, costs counterblast 1, choose one of your opponent's rearguards and imprison it, and it plus 2k power in the end turn. Similar to the original grade 1 where you can imprison one of your opponent's rearguards, but honestly you're just going to use this for the ride deck. In which, before we continue on, we go to the new prison, Galaxy Eternal Prison Galactonus, which is of course a grade 1 set order prison, and you play it for free. So unlike the original where you have to rest one of your rearguards, you just straight up play it. Not like it matters because your grade 1 ride line straight up set it for you, in which it has this skill, just like the original, count order zone. When your opponent wants to call a rearguard, they can perform one of the following. They can either soul blast 1 to call one of their imprisoned cards to rearguards, or counterblast 1 to call 2 of their imprisoned cards to rearguard. This part hasn't changed, but the next skill has, where auto order zone, when your opponent calls the rearguard from the prison and you did not soul charge this turn, you can soul charge 1. This is obviously to prevent stacking, and also soul charging on your opponent's turn is actually pretty powerful, but basically it adds a little layer of your opponent needs to give a thought on whether to bail out their prisoners or not, because the original just straight up soul charge 3 on place, which could be more helpful in the early game, but this one lets you soul charge more over time because it's based on if your opponent wants to bail or not, which is an extra thought for your opponent because yes, if they bail it is also plus, but also kind of pluses you at the same time. But still overall a little better because soul charging over time and you just straight up play this rather than having an extra condition. In which we go to the new grade 2 with 10k power, Aurora Battle Princess Reset Peach, which has a skill Auto when placed on Vanguard and your order zone has a prison, you can cost Soul Blast 1, reveal a grade 3 Seraph from your right deck, draw a card, and then your opponent chooses a card from their hand to imprison. The original one just straight up imprison a card from hand for free. This one has the additional Soul Blast to let you draw as well. So it is personal preferences here once again, if you prefer the free hand imprisonment or not, but I do recommend the draw. In which the second skill is count rearguard. If there are 2 prisoners in your prison, plus 5k, active on your opponent's turn as well. You're not going to really use it for this skill, just for the ride deck. And now to the new Seraph, Aurora Battle Princess Seraph Clearlight, which is a grade 3 with power in the skills. Act Vanguard rearguard, once per turn, cost Soul Blast 1, choose one of your opponent's rearguards and imprison it. But if you could not imprison a card, your opponent chooses a card from the drop zone and imprison it instead. The original Seraph imprisons 2 cards, but it has to be on board. This one only does 1 card, but the nice part is that you can also do it on rearguard, which will relate to the later skills, while also not needing to be exactly on the field. If your opponent has no field cards to imprison, you can imprison the drop, which is actually very helpful for your prison count, especially when you're on Purelight. In which the second skill is Auto Vanguard rearguard. When this card attacks while your opponent has 3 cards in your prison, plus 10k power and will drive plus 1 in the end of the battle. And no, if it's on rearguard, you do not get the drive plus 1 as it did not get the ability to drive check. Then at the end of the battle, if this card's on rearguard, put this to soul to draw a card. Once again, similar to the original, it gets plus extra power and a drive plus 1 if your opponent has 3 prisoners, but it's also very nice that it also works on rearguard, giving you an additional 10k power and the extra soul to draw, just to replace that little drive check technically. In which the final skill is related to more so the grade 4, but could be used with the first skill, where auto, when this card is soul blasted for the cost of your ability of the Vanguard, you get this skill into the end of your opponent's next turn. When your opponent would call the ability from your prison, the auto abilities are nullified from that call. This is just straight up very nice when it comes to the prison part, because your opponent could always reuse on play skills, so just basically letting your opponent bail but cannot use skills is just very nice, and it basically just makes this into the main soul blast target for Purelight, especially since the second skill will put itself to soul and let you draw a card on top of it, which will be another soul blast target. Especially if you're at the situation where you have to just persona ride, you could just soul blast this card out as well. And overall it is already better than the original Seraph, as that one is Vanguard centric, while this one is basically both Vanguard and rearguard centric that more so directly supports your grade 4. So overall it's just a nice new Seraph that also works on rearguard, which was something I was not really expecting at all. And now to the support stuff, starting with Aurora Battle Princess Warning Kagri, which is a grade 3 with power and skills. Auto, when placed on rearguard, cost combust 1, choose up to 2 of your opponent's rearguards and imprison them. And then after that, if you have at least 3 cards in prison, plus 5k power in your turn. Not saying this is bad, but you just have more important stuff to play than this. In which there's a new card that you probably should run is Aurora Battle Princess Tretrion Orlin, which is a great one when keep powering the skills. Auto, when placed on rearguard, if your order zone has a prison, look at top 7 cards of your deck to look up to one Seraph from among them, reveal it and put it to your hand, of course shuffle your deck, and if you reveal a card, choose a card from your hand and discard it. Basically adding a bit of consistency searcher, but this could be a little debatable whether you prefer using the robot or not, because the robot can superior write the grade 4 directly, while this one just searches from top 7, which could be nice to let you have your rearguard Seraph as well. In which the final skill is auto rearguard when this card is boosting and your Vanguard is at least grade 3 while your opponent has 2 cards in prison. This card gives 5k power in a battle, so it's just a 13k booster, but mainly for the searching, which also has no cost practically. And finally to our last card, Aurora Battle Princess Flawless Layla, which is grade 2 when taking power in the skills. Auto, when placed on rearguard, your opponent chooses a card from the drop zone and imprison it. After that, if you have at least 2 cards in prison, cost Counterblast 1 and draw a card. This is just very nice that you could just use this early game, but once again, imprison your opponent's cards could especially be a double-edged sword. In a way, it's a soft +1 for your opponent, because remember, you're imprisoning from drop, which your opponent can always bail out. So do be careful using this in the early game. But the second skill is count Rearguard Guardian if your opponent's Vanguard is at least grade 3 and you have at least 1 card in prison. This card gets 5k shield, and if you have at least 3 cards in prison plus additional 5k power and 5k shield, active on your opponent's turn as well. So it's a free drop zone imprisonment, which makes this card already pretty good. In addition, it could be a big beater along with being a big shield. If you have space for this, go ahead and run it. And finally, next week we got a new Verena. Hopefully we get a new Nirvana as well, and maybe a ride line. And so that's it for this new Seraph ride line. What do you guys think of it? Overall, this one directly supports its old strategy, and it's basically a new Seraph that also works on rearguard, which is actually very huge, and I think it's one of the very first D-series units that ever have the main Vanguard turn into a rearguard-centric unit as well, which was very unexpected actually. But overall, it's a huge update to the original that also works on rearguard as well, that also plays well with its old support. And I overall like it. But on that's it for this, and see you all next time.